So today we will start with the vectors which are used in the process of formation of recombinant DNA. How the vectors are, what are those vectors? What characteristic property should a vector have, which are used in the process of biotechnology? And basically, what for they are used? Vectors are basically used to transfer the desired gene into the host. What is done during the process? We want a gene. We want a desired gene, suppose, and this is the desired gene which is present in one of the cell. And if from this cell, which is here, we want this desired gene. This is the desired gene which is present here. So this desired gene is taken out, okay, and it is, inserted in a vector, which is a plasmid. And then what do we get? This is a recombinant DNA which is formed. We call it recombinant DNA. Now we want this desired gene in, large amount. So for that, what do? We introduce this into another host, mostly which are bacteria. This is inserted in the host, and the most commonly used bacteria for this process was E. coli. So it is introduced into this. The plasmid enters this, and there what happens when the bacteria multiplies, this recombinant DNA with the desired gene also multiplies, and then we can extract it, whatever amount we want, whatever amount is produced by multiplication of this plasmid inside it, we get that. When the bacteria will multiply, this recombinant DNA which is introduced into the host will also multiply, and we will get a lot of the desired product for which we have introduced this desired gene. Because every gene, every gene, what it does, see, every gene, what is gene? Gene is DNA. It forms by the process of transcription messenger RNA, and then this by the process of translation forms protein. So we can get any number of protein which we want. Let it be any antibiotic, let it be any vaccine, whatever. So we can get it in large number. When this bacteria will divide, the desired gene will also divide, and ultimately the product form will also increase in number. So this is what the process is all about. So today we are going to study about the vectors. Now, first of all, we will study what are the characteristic properties of vector, or what in general a vector should have. How we consider a vector a suitable vector to carry a desired gene into the host cell. What type of vector we consider as a suitable vector to carry a gene into the desired gene into the host. Now, the characteristics of vector. Number one, this vector, it should have one ORI. ORI is origin of replication. It should have one origin of replication. Remember, if this origin of replication will not be there, it will not multiply. So this is required for multiplying of desired gene. That means when the desired gene is introduced in the plasmid, this should have a ORI, because if this ORI will be there, origin of replication will be there, it will replicate, it will multiply, it will form more in number, then our gene will also multiply. So it should have an origin of replication, which is very important. Then the second thing which it should have is ROP. ROP, you must have seen in PBR 322 also ROP is written. This is protein of replication. Protein of replication. This is required. This is a protein which is required to carry out the process of replication. If this protein will not be there, the process of replication will not be there, will not take place. So only if ORI is there and ROP is not there, then the replication cannot take place. Then the multiple copies cannot be formed. So if ORI is there, ROP, that means protein of replication has to be there. Then the third important thing which the vector should have, which will carry a desired gene into the host. So the third thing, it should have selectable markers. It should have selectable markers. Selectable markers are basically identifying markers. Identifying markers means how we will identify that this particular bacteria has, because see what happens after this plasmid has been formed, it is introduced into the host. Host is mostly, I told you, it's bacteria. So how we will find that this recombinant DNA has entered the host, whether it is in the host or not? When the recombinant DNA which is formed, the recombinant DNA which is formed, this is recombinant DNA or rDNA. This recombinant DNA which is formed is introduced in a bacterial cell. It is introduced in a bacterial cell. So this recombinant DNA, when it is introduced in a bacterial cell, this bacterial cell we call as transformed. Transformed or transformant. Okay, so this is a transformed cell. Now how we will know that this has our desired gene or not? This host has our desired gene or not? So this is host. This host has a desired gene or not? How we will come to know? For that, there are some selectable markers. These selectable markers are special markers which will tell, yes, by some reaction, by some change in color, they will tell that, yes, the gene is inside this. Okay, so these selectable markers are two types. These are of two types. The first type is antibiotic resistant marker or antibiotic resistant gene is introduced. Okay, and the second is enzyme producing. Enzyme producing marker or gene is introduced. Okay, so these are of two types. In antibiotic resistant gene, when it is introduced or when this enzyme antibiotic resistant marker is introduced, we use mostly two markers in this case. We use two markers. One is ampicillin resistance and another is tetracycline resistance. We use two ampicillin resistant marker or tetracycline resistant marker or gene. What do we mean by this ampicillin resistant? Ampicillin resistant means it is resistant to this antibiotic ampicillin. That means normally what happens? Normally what happens? If ampicillin, I'm writing only AMP. Normally what happens if this ampicillin is given to a bacteria, the bacteria will die. But if this bacteria has ampicillin resistant gene, if this bacteria has ampicillin resistant gene, that means if this bacteria has a gene which can resist or which can fight back ampicillin, it will not die. So if ampicillin resistant gene is present, it will be alive. It will not die. So this is what meant by ampicillin resistant. That means it has, there is a gene which will help it to develop resistance against ampicillin. And if this bacteria, if this prokaryote is given ampicillin, in which the desired gene has been introduced, it will not die because it has ampicillin resistant marker. If it has tetracycline resistant marker, that means if this is treated with antibiotic tetracycline, it will not die because this has tetracycline resistant gene in it. So it will help it to fight against tetracycline and it will not die if treated with tetracycline. So this is one type of marker which is used and is known as antibiotic resistant marker, where antibiotic resistant gene is introduced in it. And the second type of marker is, I told you, this is enzyme producing gene or markers are used in this. Enzyme producing genes or markers are used. These, in this, the enzyme, basically the gene which is used, which is introduced, is lac gene Z. I think you all remember this gene, lac gene Z, lac operon. What does this produce, lac gene Z? Come on. Yes. Which enzyme does it produce, lac gene Z? We have done this in lac operon. Yes. Which enzyme does it produce, beta? Anybody, if you remember? You all are unmuted today. Anybody, if you remember which enzyme this lac gene Z produces? Yes, bache? Anybody? Lactose. Lactose is the substrate on which it acts. It's not the enzyme, beta. I want the name of the enzyme which it produces. The name of the enzyme is beta galactosidase. Beta galactosidase. This is the enzyme which is produced by lac gene Z. This is also used as marker. Now, how it is used as marker, this I'll tell you. Ampicillin resistant gene and this enzyme producing gene, when it is introduced, they act as selectable markers. Before I tell you how they act as selectable markers, you have come to know till here. Till here, is it clear, bache? Three properties of vectors I have told you. I'll tell you all the properties of vectors and then I'll tell you how these markers are used. That is known as screening. So these 3 points are very clear, or you want me to repeat any point? Yes? Yes? Just you all are unmuted. You can speak up. Anybody wants to repeat this point? Antibiotic resistance. Explain again. Antibiotic resistance. See, antibiotic resistant here, this is a marker. Marker means how we will identify that our desired gene. See, this is a vector plasmid which is carrying our desired gene into the host. Red colored one which I have made, this is our desired gene and it has been introduced in a vector. What is this vector? This vector is plasmid. This vector will help us to carry our desired gene into the host. And why we want to take it to the host? This host, mostly the hosts are bacteria. When we introduced our desired gene into the host, what happens? See, this is the nature of the bacteria to multiply quickly. So what will happen? Our desired gene has been introduced. Now this bacteria will multiply rapidly. And when this bacteria will multiply rapidly, our desired gene will also multiply in number and it will increase in number. So when it increases in number, then we will be able to obtain whatever we want from this. Suppose this gene we have introduced a vaccine producing gene, say any antibiotic producing gene. So this will produce that particular medicine or whatever by the process of transcription and translation, and we will be able to get it. Now, How we will see these are small organisms which are very, highly microscopic. So how we will come to know that our desired gene, the vector with our desired gene, has been introduced into the host. Every bacteria we cannot see under the microscope. Fine, this bacteria has a desired gene, this bacteria has a desired, we cannot see every bacteria under the microscope. How we will come to know that these bacteria have a desired gene, or this host has a desired gene? So for that there are some selectable markers. Selectable, where are these selectable markers put? These selectable markers are introduced in these vectors, the plasmids. They are introduced here, they are introduced in the plasmids. And these, when they are present in the plasmids, they tell you, yes, suppose this has this marker, when it goes inside, it will show us by any reaction, by any change of color, that I am here, I am in this host. So we will come to know that this host has a desired gene. And such hosts in which the desired gene is present are known as transformants or transformed hosts. Okay. Okay. Now these selectable markers are of two types. Either antibiotic, those are antibiotic resistant markers, or enzyme producing markers. Two types of selectable markers. निशानियां होती हैं जिससे हमें पता चले कि फाइन, हमारा हमारा डिजायर्ड जीन वेक्टर उसे लेकर होस्ट में चला गया, तो एक पर्टिकुलर निशानी से हमें पता चल जाए. वी विल कम टू नो बाय अ मार्कर. Fine, this change in color, that means our desired gene is in this host. Or fine, this reaction is taking place, that means our desired gene is in this host. So when I say that ampicillin antibiotic resistant marker has been put, that means this vector has some antibiotic resistant marker, and that antibiotic for which resistance is there. Resistance means they are able to resist some antibiotic. Ampicillin is one antibiotic, tetracycline is one antibiotic. That means if this bacteria which has our desired gene, and the vector which is carrying it, it has ampicillin resistance. The vector which is carrying it, it has ampicillin resistance. Suppose this is ampicillin resistance here. So if this bacteria will be treated with antibiotic ampicillin, it will not die, because this has the marker which is ampicillin resistance. Okay. So same way enzyme producing markers are there, in which these genes are introduced in the vector, and when there is a change of color, they we come to know that our desired gene is in this host. This I'll tell you in detail. This whatever I'm teaching right now, this I'll tell you in detail after I finish with the characteristics again. Fine. So there are vector. Vector means this is the vector. This is vector, beta. The plasmid is a vector. Vector means something which will carry our desired gene into the host. So this is our desired gene. So this is the vector. This is the vector which will carry our desired gene. And vector is, what is vector here? It's a plasmid. What is plasmid? This is a bacteria. Bacteria has its nucleus, and besides its nucleus, it has some extracellular nuclear material which is known as plasmid. This is a plasmid. We have taken out this plasmid from the bacteria to make it a vector, and we are using this plasmid as a vector. We are using this plasmid as a vector. Vector means a carrier, to carry a desired gene into the host. So this plasmid is acting as a vector, and now this vector will carry a desired gene into the host. This will take it into the host. And in the host, when this enters, this will multiply, and we will get the product in large amount. Is it clear till here? Is it clear, beta? Is it clear, beta, till here? This ampicillin and tetracycline and lags gene Z, I'll explain in detail. Okay, so this is clear till here. We have done three properties of vector. Number one is ori, it should have origin of replication, it should have routine of replication, and third is it should have selectable markers. It should have selectable markers. Like, you know, the DPS students, when they go to the market or when you go to the town during your town visits, okay, during your outings, when you go to the town, so what do you wear? You all are in your uniform so that you can be easily identified. So your uniform is a selectable marker, because in the market there are many people. How we will identify that you are our students? So you have a selectable marker on you, and that is your uniform. You are wearing a maroon blazer and your gray pant, and we'll be able to identify, fine, this is a student. So that is our selectable marker. So same way here, this, it should have a selectable marker by which we will be able to identify the different bacteria. You know, everywhere bacteria grow. So if we allow a colony of bacteria to be formed, many bacteria will grow. Then it will be very difficult to find out which bacteria has our recombinant DNA or desired gene and which bacteria doesn't have. So to find out that host in which our recombinant gene is present, we use some selectable markers. Fine. So this is the third property, that vector should have the selectable markers. And the next property, I'll erase this for that. The next property of this is that there should be recognition sites. There should be recognition sites. You know what are recognition sites? Anybody remembers what are recognition sites? At least one. One. Only one, rather. Only one. Only one recognition site should be present. Now, what are these recognition sites? Do you remember? Anybody remembers what are these recognition sites? Yes, beta? Anybody remembers what are these recognition sites? Okay, I'll tell you. See, this is a plasmid. This is a plasmid. And we want to, this is a plasmid. Okay, and we want to introduce our desired gene into it, into this plasmid, because we want this as our vector to carry our gene. So how, this is our desired gene. This is the desired gene which we want to insert into this plasmid. So how we are going to insert this into the plasmid? For that we will have to make a cut here. And what is that cut made? That is made by endonucleases. We did yesterday. Endonucleases. Endonucleases. Restriction endonucleases makes cut. And you know that these endonucleases are very specific in their action. That means there are some endonucleases which will make cut only between A and T. There are some endonucleases which will make cut only between C and G. So these are recognition sites. Means these are the sites where these endonucleases can make cut. They cut. They make cut. These are recognition sites. So there should be there should be recognition site only one. If more, and when the endonucleases make cut here, what happens? Our DNA, then we can easily insert our DNA here, and the ligases attach it, enzyme ligases attach it. So these recognition sites should be there, but only one. What will happen if there are more than one recognition site? See, if we have a plasmid and it has a recognition site, it has a recognition site here for one endonuclease, and it has a recognition site here and here. So what will happen? In that case, three cuts will be formed. Three cuts will be formed, but we want only one cut, because we want to insert our desired gene only here. Then what will happen? It will get destroyed. It will break into fragment. The plasmid will break into fragment. So there should be only one recognition site. This recognition site is the site where endonucleases can act, where endonucleases can act. So this is the recognition site. Suppose we are the endonuclease which we are using is Hind2. This is one of the, so this Hind2, and we have this plasmid. Suppose we have this plasmid and we have this desired gene. So this Hind2, this has a recognition site, suppose CG. This Hind2 will cut it here. Hind2 has cut here, and here we will insert our desired gene, and then we will attach it by enzyme ligase. But if recognition sites are more than one, say this one for E. coli, E core 1, then what will happen? E core 1, this E core ECOR1 will act here. One more cut will be formed. Then this plasmid will get destroyed. It will cut into fragments. Then this will not be able to carry our desired gene into the host. That is why there should be just one recognition site, so that only one cut is formed where we can insert our desired gene. Is it clear, beta? This point is clear of recognition site? Is this point clear of recognition site? Or shall I repeat? I want your response. You are unmuted. Yes, bache? Is it clear?
It is clear, ma'am.
It is clear. Okay. So this point is clear to everybody, huh? To everybody, is it clear? Okay. So Chitra also saying yes. So this is the recognition site. And what are these recognition sites? Of course, these are the sites where the endonucleases act, where the endonucleases go and make cut. Why these are known as restriction endonucleases? Because they cut at a specific point. Suppose there is one endonuclease which will cut, say Hind2, cuts only in between A and T, or E core 1 cuts only between C and G. So these are specific sites where they can make cut. And if there are more than one recognition site, the plasmid, which is a vector to carry a desired gene into the host, that will break into fragments. So one recognition site should be there. So these are the characteristics which the vector should have. That means it should have origin of replication, the protein which is required for replication, the selectable marker to differentiate between transformants and non-transformants. Again, I tell you, transformants are the ones in which our desired gene is there. Non-transformants are the ones in which our desired gene is not there. Then recognition sites where the endonucleases make cut. It should be one. And if it is more than one, then what happens? The vector, which is a plasmid here, it breaks into fragments, and our purpose is not solved. That means it is unable to carry a desired gene into the host. So this is the basis of biotechnology, basic characters of vectors. Then there is a vector which is shown in your book, and it has been asked many a times in your exam, which is PBR322. This is a vector. Have you seen this in your book sometimes? PBR322. Have you seen this, beta? Speak up. Have you seen this PBR322 in your NCERT book? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
It is on page number 199. This is a vector. What is a vector? What type of vector? It's a plasmid. What is plasmid? It is a nuclear material which is present in the bacteria but not in the nucleus. If this is bacteria's nucleus, its nuclear material. Then there is a similar type of genetic material which is present in bacteria, but that is outside nucleus, and it can multiply on its own irrespective of the directions given by the nucleus. It doesn't depend on nucleus for its division. All the cell divisions, they depend on nucleus. When a cell divides, it is wholly dependent on nucleus, but this is irrespective of the directions given by nucleus. It can multiply on its own. This is extra nuclear material. Plasmid, this is a plasmid. What is a plasmid? Plasmid is a extra nuclear material. Why do we call it extra nuclear material? Extra nuclear material. Why do we call it extra nuclear material? Because this is present outside the nucleus, and it is, it has DNA. It is nuclear material. That is why we call it extra nuclear material. Now, this, I was talking about this vector which is given in your book, and many a times a question has been asked from this. And this vector which has been given here is PBR322. PBR322. It's a vector, and if you see, the picture is like this. One circle, another circle, this is a plasmid. This is a plasmid which will act like a vector, which will help, which helps to carry it. This now here this is not a natural vector, this is an artificial vector. This is an artificial vector. Rather, this was the first artificially formed vector. PBR322 was the first artificially formed vector. And what is a why this P has been used? PBR. P is plasmid. I'm writing here. P is plasmid. This B is Bolivar. And R is Rodrigues. Gues. Rodrigues. Plasmid, Bolivar, Rodrigues. These are the names of the founders who made it, who prepared it. Okay. And they made this artificial vector. See, in the field of biotechnology, taking out plasmid every day is, in research, it's difficult. So artificially, the vectors has been prepared, and PBR322 is one such formed vector, and it was prepared by Bolivar Rodrigues. So, and the name given PBR322. Now, if you see here, various, recognition sites are there. Various recognition sites, it has been marked here, then has been marked here, then it has been marked here. We have to be very specific in making it. This is ROP, protein of replication, then it has been marked here. So let's make it this dot way. Let's make it by lines. I'm making it with different. Let's make it with this. And let's make it with this. It has been made like this. Now what is done here is, it is written here ORI. If you see, it's written here ORI. This is origin of replication, and this is ROP. That means this has the gene for that protein which helps in synthesis of copies, many copies, ORI, origin of replication. From here, the replication starts, and for replicating, the raw material has to be there. Multiple copies, those will be formed? Protein is required. So this protein, replication of protein is here. Then we have this ampicillin resistant here gene. This one is ampicillin resistant, and this one is tetracycline resistant, which is written TETR. Now we have different recognition sites here, which has been made. Now here, the first recognition site which has been made here is HIND3, HIND 1, 2, 3. Here it has been made CLA1, CLA1. Then we have one here, BAM, H1. Here we have one more recognition site here. Here we have one more recognition site. And this recognition site here is SAL1. Then we have one recognition site at ROP, and this recognition site is PUV2. We have one recognition site here, and the name of this recognition site is PST1. Then we have one recognition site which is here, and again it is PUV1, PUV2, PUV1. Okay, PUV1, and one more recognition site here which is ECOR1. These all are recognition sites, and you can see I told you that there should be just one recognition site. Now you can see what are all these? What are all these? The names written. These are Hind2, Eco, Hind3. By these two names, you will be able to understand what is this ECOR1, what is this Hind3. What are these, beta? What are these? Yes, anybody? What are these? This ECOR1, Hind3. What are these? Yes, bache? What are these? Endonucleases. Yes, these are endonucleases. That means these are the enzymes. These are this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These 8 are the enzymes which are used to cut.